Hello, and welcome to this week's edition of A Walk in My Shoes. My name is Kayla Powell, and I will be your host for today's edition. Today we have with us Sherry Ramey, who is a cosmetologist. Welcome, Sherry, and thanks for being with us today.
Thanks so much for having me. Very excited.
Yeah, it's our pleasure. So if we want to jump right into it, can you explain to us a little bit what cosmetology is and what you do in your day-to-day job?
A cosmetologist fixes and colors people's hair, cuts. We're able to do waxings, facials, pedicures. I choose just to do hair, color, and waxing. And in my daily job, I book myself all day with my clients for colors, cuts, waxings, perms, and it keeps me very busy all day long.
I'm sure. So are you currently working for a business or do you have your own business? What does that kind of look like for you?
So I currently have my own business. I just started it 4 years ago, and we are in Pataskala. Um, and it's a very small salon, and we have a few girls in there working right now, and super busy right now.
So I'm sure owning your own business, starting your own business, that was quite a task to put on. Did you ever plan to be your own business owner, or is it just something that uh, once you started doing cosmetology, you thought you wanted to go off on your own and run your own business?
Yeah, so it's something I've always wanted to do since I was little. I knew where I wanted to work when I was little, and then I knew I eventually wanted to have my own salon. So I've done both of those things now. So
Nice.
yeah,
That's awesome.
thanks.
So could you talk a little bit about your education? What did it take for you to become a cosmetologist? What classes did you have to take? What tests, maybe licenses? Can you talk a little bit about that?
So I decided to go to a vocational school. So I went to Eastland Career Center, and we have to do 2 years of the vocational school. And then I chose after the vocational school to do a continuing education at a bigger salon. So I did another year of that. Um, we have to have our cosmetology license, but I also got my manager's license. And um, each each 2 years we have to update our license, and we have to have so many hours every year of continuing education. So
Okay.
yeah, so we do that a lot, and a lot of fun classes. So it never stops. We always continue to learn new stuff.
I'm sure. Yeah. So I assume that you can be pretty creative in your field of work,
Yes, we can
that
be.
no two clients are ever the same.
No, they're not. Everybody's hair is so different.
Yeah. So can you tell us how you got started into cosmetology? How did you know that that was your calling?
Ever since I was little, I loved doing hair. Always was braiding everyone's hair. Um, so I think I was like 6 years old, and I knew what I wanted to do. Um, and I knew even where I wanted to work. So, um,
Awesome.
yeah, I've just known that forever. I love it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Did you grow up here in Central Ohio?
I grew up in Gahanna, so
Okay.
very close.
Awesome. Yeah, not too far at all.
Yeah.
Where did you go to school for K through 12? Were you participating in any extracurricular activities when you went through school?
Yeah. So I went to Gahanna High School and Goshen Lane, and all the schools in between there. So grew up in Gahanna. Um, I I did sports, was cheerleader, ran track. I did all that, um, and I loved it. Um,
Awesome.
let's see. I was trying to think of what else I did um, in high school. I think that's it.
Awesome. So okay, perfect. So how long after high school did you wait to go take your cosmetology courses, or did you go straight into them?
Yeah. So when I went to the vocational school, as soon as school ended, I already had my test scheduled. So I had
Oh,
it
wow.
before I even graduated. So yeah,
Wow, that's
the
awesome.
day I graduated is when I started working at the place I wanted to work at. So um,
That's awesome.
yeah, they came into the vocational school and I talked to them about working there, and they kind of pre-hired me before I even graduated. So yeah,
Wow.
yeah, that's
That's
cool.
definitely something to brag about. That's pretty
Thank
awesome.
you. Thanks.
So how long have you been doing hair and cosmetology then?
So 22 years now. So
Wow.
yeah, young.
Awesome. And would you consider this your dream job?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Pretty cool. And it's pretty cool that you figured it out at such a young age. And all along, you knew that hair and cosmetology is what you wanted to do and what you stuck with.
Yeah. Yeah. It's always what I've wanted to do. I love it and I still love it. It's always
Yeah.
fun.
Awesome. Awesome. So, can we talk a little bit about your schedule?
Sure.
You mentioned that you have to have continuing education hours, and you mentioned you also have a very busy and hectic schedule at times. How do you manage all of that, and what does it look like for you?
Yeah. So at the salon, since I've done it 22 years now, I can kind of scale back. So I do 3 days a week now, 3 long days, but um, it's enough to get everybody in. So I can double book my schedule for 3 days a week. And with continuing education, um, I believe it's 8 hours a year that we have to have. And we also have to do extras like last year was we had to take classes on, it was 2 years ago, sex trafficking. So we had to get certified in that. And we
Okay.
also, like sterilization and sanitation, we had to, especially with COVID, we had to get a
Right.
certificate in that. So I had to learn about all that, which was very interesting. Um, but yeah, so that's,
Talking about sanitizing and sterilization, so like how has COVID affected your job? Has it affected your job? Positive or negative way? And what are some of the extra precautions and procedures that you have to take now?
yeah, COVID has definitely changed like our timing on everything. So it's a little bit harder because we have so many rules we have to follow, and um, in between each person, we have to sanitize and do the bathrooms and the doorknobs and everywhere they sit, and so that
Right.
takes a lot longer in the day to do all that every day. Um, and then learning how to cut around mask is very difficult. Um,
Oh, yeah.
especially around the
Good
ears.
point.
It's like for men's cuts and stuff, it's so difficult. So we're managing, but it's hard. Um,
Right.
but there's
I'm
just,
sure.
yeah. So we've kind of got our little tricks, by holding one of the loops down while we're cutting around one ear, and then having them
Yeah.
hold it. And so we're managing, we're learning. But let's see. Yeah, I'm trying to think of anything else, but the cleaning is a lot that we have to do, and
Mhm.
sterilizing, our combs and our brushes and our scissors after each person
Right.
is a lot. And yeah, so Yeah.
So do you primarily have women clients, male clients, or a good mix of both?
I I have a good mix of both. Um, Probably the majority though is women, and color is my specialty. So that's what I
Okay.
do most of the day. But I have a lot of teenage boys that come in um, right now. So
Awesome.
yeah.
So do you prefer to do women's hair because there is more coloring there?
Um, I actually like all of it. I don't particularly not like anything. I even don't mind perms. So um, I like that there's a variety of things to do and nothing's ever the same. So yeah, I actually like it all.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that you do 3 long days.
hmm
About what time do you start? What time do you end? Do you have to turn away some clients at times because you just can't make it um, an even longer day than you already have planned?
Yeah, so I do Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. And Tuesdays and Thursdays, I go in probably at 9 a.m. I get the kids on the bus and then go straight into work. And then I'm there till 8 at night. Um, on the, on the holidays, it's longer. So Saturdays, I start at 7 a.m. and till like 3 or 5 in the afternoon. So it does give me enough time if I double book to get everybody in. Um, but I'm pretty booked well in advance. Most of my clients pre-book for their next appointment, so it's not a walk-in salon. Um, so, um, like, I guess if my clients call me last minute, um, it is difficult to get them in. So sometimes I do have to go on my day off, which is fine. So, um, but it doesn't happen too often. But I do that.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how did you get your pool of clients? Are they clients that you had years ago when you were working for another salon that came over with you to your own business? Word of mouth from your clients? How do you maintain your client base?
Correct. So the salon I came from, um, we when you leave, you have to wait a certain amount of time before you can work again for the contract. So most of them are from that, and then I just had to wait that waiting period, and then they could come back over safely. And then word of mouth is huge. So when I came out to Pataskala, I feel like most of my clients now were from word of mouth, which is great. So,
Wow,
yeah, yeah,
that's awesome.
hmm yeah,
Awesome. So you mentioned that you have to have flexibility in your schedule. When you have a client that needs to book last minute and they're only available, say, on a Wednesday, that you're flexible and you'll squeeze them in and you'll go in on your day off. Would
yeah,
you say that that's a necessary trait for anyone watching today that wants to be their own business owner?
yes. I think it's pretty important if you want to keep your clients to be accommodating. Um, I try to only do that for, if it's really needed or if they really, a lot of clients will travel and, um, like I have a lot of flight attendants and they're only home on certain days.
Okay.
So if it's the days I'm off, I always accommodate them. Or if I have clients that live out of state, a lot of people move, but they still come back and see me when they see their family. Um, I always accommodate them when they're in town because, they're only here on certain days. So it's very important
Right.
to be able to do that. Yes. And it's nice because I live really close. So, and all my kids are in school, so it's a lot easier. I can just get them on the bus and go over. So it's pretty convenient.
Okay. Awesome. Were there any, when opening up your own business, were there any obstacles that you faced that you weren't really prepared for that you didn't know, oh man, I'd have to be doing this as a small business owner?
I think opening a business was really hard, getting the correct permits because I didn't know how many you would need and how costly all that is. So
Right.
and, having the correct space and um, the correct permits and getting everything checked out before you can open up um, is it was a lot. I didn't expect all that, um, but that's done. But yes, opening a business is hard. Yes.
Yeah.
Even with taxes, you have to make sure you're on top of your taxes, especially for me because I
Right.
do it myself. And so I make sure, I put back a certain amount for my taxes because, I have to pay that right out of pocket. So
Right.
it's important to learn how to do all that.
Yes, definitely. So, if you could, as a business owner yourself, could you give 3 characteristics for any youth and young adults watching today that you think a small business owner and cosmetology, 3 characteristics that they should have when owning your own cosmetology business?
I think it's important to um, know about financing or in your taxes. It's important to know how to handle people um, because that's our whole job is to learn how to talk and communicate with people. And
Right.
another one is just you have to really love what you do because it's a lot of work. That's what the top three probably.
So I am reading some comments here from our audience. And one of the questions we have is, would you recommend opening a business for work as far as starting up right after school
Open up and get business for work after school, like like
instead of working for another salon? Would you recommend just going straight into your own business out of school?
out of cosmetology school. um,
Correct.
if it's if you're going in and you want to start working right after cosmetology school, um, I would definitely not go straight into working. I would go to a salon that has extra training because cosmetology school, you only learn so much, and
Mhm.
there's so much more to learn before you're able to go on your own and do hair. So I would suggest a bigger salon or someone that has more continuing education. It's very important.
Gotcha. So, what are some of the things that you learned throughout your career that you didn't learn in school and you can't really learn from a book? Do you have a few things right off the top of your head?
Yeah. So I never learned how to foil the hair. We learned color, but it was with conditioner. And so I
Okay.
never learned how to actually put them in foils and the different techniques of that. Um, you don't learn all the cool balayage techniques um, or any of the extras that everybody wants now, or the fun bright colors that everybody wants. You don't learn any of that, nor how to correct someone's hair that is messed up, or you need to, you know, strip out certain colors that are in there. You don't learn any of that. You learn the basics, which are great,
Mhm.
um, but there's so much more to learn. And
Right.
yeah.
Awesome. So, talking about customer service and coloring someone's hair, have you ever had an experience with a customer that when you were finished with their hair, it wasn't what they wanted? They had something different in mind, and the communication wasn't the best, and you were done with their hair. It was not what they wanted, and they just kind of freaked out. Have you had that kind of happen to you? And if so, how do you handle that type of situation?
Yeah, consultation is key. So make sure you understand what somebody wants is very important. There's a lot of situations that I know their hair is not going to do what they're showing me or what they're wanting. And being able to communicate that with them is really important. And if somebody still wants something that you're not wanting to do, I'll have them sign a waiver. So that's happened a couple of times.
Okay.
when I kind of knew that was going to happen, but they wanted it. So in that situation, they kind of were prepared just because I've already pre-warned that this may not turn out what they're wanting. Um, so
Right.
they didn't freak out just because I pre-warned them that this was not going to happen probably. Um, but that's very, very few and far between. Um,
Okay.
and most of the time that's more of a corrective color or something like that. Yeah.
So is it from experience that you know whether something will turn out the way the pictures look like or not?
Yeah. Yeah. That's more experience. Yeah. So in the beginning, I kind of would think I could do any of that stuff, and I would, you know, try it and maybe have to do it again and again. But yeah, after so many years, you know what's going to work and what's not going to work, and
Right.
you let them know. I'm very honest.
Awesome. So, how often do your clients come back? Maybe just for a haircut, what's recommended, or coloring?
So my clients are normally pre-booked every 6 weeks for color, and they do a haircut the same time that they come in with their color. So some people can push off 8 to 10 weeks, but I'd say anybody that has like gray hair or something like that, or their hair grows fast, they're in every 6 weeks.
Gotcha. Um, so I have another question here from the audience. With resources such as YouTube and other tutorials that are coming out, is cosmetology school really worth it? Um, because you have to pay for all those classes, and there are free resources out there.
Um, it's 100% worth it. Um, it's vital to go to cosmetology school. Um, just watching something on YouTube is not the same as actually going to school and learning why you're doing certain things, or why something's taken the way it is, or why it's not taking the way it is. It's very important to know the basics of everything. Um, yeah, YouTube's fine after you go to beauty school.
Okay, perfect. And a few minutes ago, you mentioned what they teach you in school, just a few things. They teach you the basics, but they didn't teach you the foiling and a few other things. But what else did they teach you in school besides hair? Do they go over manicures and the waxing and pedicures, or do they focus mainly on just the hair?
They actually teach everything. So we did facials, we did perming, we did waxing, manicures, acrylic nails. Um,
Wow.
yeah, we went over everything. Um, and I know we had to know all the bones and the everything in the body. Um,
Wow.
yeah, there's a lot that they teach you.
And you mentioned that you primarily focus on hair and waxing.
Yeah.
Um, is that what you've always preferred, or did you start out doing more of the manicures and other things as well?
I actually like doing facials also. I like doing pedicures. I like doing makeup. Um, but everything's so time consuming. I choose hair probably is my favorite. But if I had
Okay,
more time, I would probably do everything. I like everything.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Awesome. So how long is your typical appointment?
For color, it's an hour and a half. And if I
Okay.
double book, I can put every 30 minutes, I could put somebody in. So, and then
Okay.
for a haircut,
Awesome.
we do 30-minute haircuts. I do 30-minute haircuts. And so um, everything is, yeah, I work pretty quickly. So I can get a lot of people.
Okay. Um, does it matter the hair type or style or length? when booking a haircut. I know I used to have hair down to my waist, and I wasn't typically in and out in 30 minutes. Does it affect your schedule when someone walks in with very long hair or very, very curly hair?
Hmm. Yeah, it can, definitely. If I don't know a particular client, a lot of times I will text them or reach out to them and just kind of get a little history on their hair first. That way I
Okay.
know if I need to book more time, because there are certain clients that 30 minutes is not going to cut it. Um, but it is pretty rare. And then for those people, I have a special notation, and they always text me to book, and they don't book online. That way I can book the appropriate time. So, yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Um, And if you don't mind talking about it, as a cosmetologist, I think it's expected that clients tip, correct?
Yeah, correct. Uh,
Um, so, what kind of tip do you usually hope for from each client? And are most of your clients pretty respectful and follow through with those tips?
Yeah, I'd say the majority of my clients just do a 20% tip at the end of their service. Um, I use the Square system, so it makes it really easy. It
Okay.
After I swipe their card, it just says, a percentage of tip, and so most of them all just do 20%. I've done with clients for a very long time, so they treat me really well. Yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah.
Um, have you ever been in need of new clients? And if you are ever in need of new clients, how do you go about reaching out to other folks?
Mm. Um, I would say I really haven't been in need of new clients. Um, there
That's a
are
good problem to
there
have.
it's a good problem. There are certain slow times though where you think like maybe I should reach out, but
Hmm.
again, I've had my clients for a very long time, but I know a lot of people are always wanting new clients. So we'll give incentives for word of mouth. Like if you send somebody in, we'll give incentives for that. Um,
Oh,
yeah, you can post on the social media and maybe offer a discount to certain clients. That's what
right.
most people do.
Awesome. And you mentioned around the holidays, it's typically super busy for you, right?
Yeah. Around the holidays,
Everyone wanting to touch up their hair.
yeah. It normally starts in November. So
Okay.
just every year from November to the first of the year is insane. And it's fun and crazy. And I work a lot then.
Yeah.
Yeah. I definitely open more
Awesome.
days, and yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
And that goes along with your flexibility and being a small business owner and knowing that you need to take the money while you can and make your clients happy so they keep
right,
coming back.
right. And it's nice because we know our certain slow times of the year, so we can prepare for that. So we're super busy up until Christmas, and then we get slow in February. So we can save up money and prepare for the slow times that we know are going to happen, and then it gets busy again. So we kind of have to balance it out for the whole year. So,
Okay. And you mentioned with COVID having to do more deep cleaning and more sterilization of your tools. Um, is there a capacity limit in your salon right now? Are you only allowed to have two people as opposed to four? What does that kind of look like for you compared to last January when there were no restrictions?
yeah, they want us to be about 10 people, and my salon's pretty small, so it's pretty
Okay.
easy to manage it right now. Um, and there's certain people too that have health issues that will come in really early for to where there's nobody else in the salon, or we'll take them
Hmm.
into a private area. So we accommodate all that. Um, but right now I'm trying not to double book as much, and I'm trying to just have one person at a time, and then
Right.
and trying to ask them not to bring other people in too. That way it's, you know, not a lot of people in the salon, and we try to only have one person in the waiting room at a time if we can. But
Right.
I sit right next to another girl who also will have a client in there, so we try to we work really well together. So we try to you know stagger our people right now. So we try to
That's awesome.
limit the people in there. Yeah.
So when COVID hit last March, were you forced to close your salon for a few months? Um, were you prepared for such a pandemic to go on? Were you okay financially? Was it hard there for a while? Did it take a while for your clients to feel more comfortable to actually come see you in person?
Yeah, that was a very sudden thing, and we were not prepared at all for it. Um, I think we found out the day we were all working the day we found out, and we had till midnight that night. So we were trying to get everyone in, and it was crazy, and it was not possible to even
Wow.
get everyone in. So we were there till like 11 o'clock at night trying to get people in, but there were so many we couldn't
Wow.
get in. Um, so that was really hard. So a lot of people were left not getting their hair done, and at the time we weren't allowed to go to anyone's house and do anything. So we were stuck and they were stuck, and it was really hard. Because if we're not working, we don't make any money. So that was really hard being off for
Right.
2 months. And every hairdresser felt that. So if you're not working,
Right.
you don't get paid. So um, so it was very hard because you still have to pay your bills. That didn't stop.
Right.
So that's why it's very important to save money back for emergencies like that. Um,
Right.
and
So, how long did it take for your clients to feel more comfortable to come in and see you? Or when you opened back up, were they jumping through your door to come see you and get their hair done?
yeah, I would say the majority of our clients, they were they were going to be lined up at the door waiting. So we had
Wow.
to. I mean, there were so many people, we had to put them on a list of who called first and who were going to get in first when
Wow.
it was open. Um, because it was crazy how many people needed in, and we just had to go by who called first,
Hmm.
because we had such a backlog of, like, even when we closed, all those people we couldn't get in that we were booked for the weeks, they had to go first. So it was a little bit crazy for a long time. um, some of our older clients, they didn't feel comfortable coming right away. So we made a special room to do their hair in private. So that made them comfortable. So we tried to accommodate everybody. Yeah. So, yeah. Not just them, people with autoimmune disorders and stuff, or people that are just scared of COVID. Yeah, we made a private room and was able to accommodate those clients. So, yeah. Thank you. So each person's an individual. They own their own business. So they just booth rent from me. It's because everybody likes their specific products. So they kind of are on their own with their products, whatever they like. So I just buy my stuff and have my own section of the stuff I like, and they do the same for themselves.
Gotcha. Do you mind sharing a brand of shampoo and conditioner that you particularly like?
Yeah, um, I have quite a few lines that I use, but right now, one of the best-selling ones is the Moroccan oil. I know a lot of people have heard about
Okay.
it, and it smells great. So
Yeah.
that's a big one I use right now.
Awesome. Well, do you have any advice for our youth and young adults that might be watching today or tune in later and watch the show? Do you have any advice for them if they're in high school, they've already graduated high school, they're kind of tossing the idea of cosmetology around? Any resources you think they should look into or any advice?
Um, I think making sure that it's something they love to do, because um, it's a lot of work, and whether it's hair or nails or makeup, um, getting extra training is key, I think, to any of this, um, and learning how to, you know, treat people really well, and is really key also. But making sure they get extra training is very important, I think.
Awesome. And through your training or experience with your salon and other salons, is there job shadowing that might be available for youth and young adults that are considering going into cosmetology, but they're not quite sure?
Yeah, the salon I started at, that's why I went there. They had an apprenticeship program, and I did that for a whole
Okay.
year. Um, and once I started doing hair there, I actually was one of the mentors. So people shadowed me. Um, and now at my salon, I've had quite a few girls shadow me for their schooling, for so many hours that they had to have. And my niece
Awesome.
right now is shadowing me. So she's going through beauty school.
Okay. Awesome. So I have one more question here from the audience before we wrap up, and it's what's your favorite color to dye hair?
um, I think my favorite color is probably a very light purple, like a lilac purple.
Okay.
That's probably my favorite.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah,
Is it pretty popular?
it's very popular. Yes, all those colors
Awesome.
are very popular right now. And
Awesome.
yeah,
Especially as we come into spring.
yes, yes,
Awesome.
yes.
All right, Sherry. Well, this has been great. Thank you so much for joining us today. We are about to wrap up this edition of A Walk in My Shoes. So, thank you so much for all the advice and career explanation that you gave to us today.
Great. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. If any of you are looking to go get your hair done, go talk to Sherry Ramey. She's located in Pataskala. Thank you again, Sherry.
Thank
And
you.
this is all for today's edition of A Walk in My Shoes. We'll see you next week.